In case you can't tell from the jacket, it is fall here in Virginia. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s during the day, dipping down lower at night. The leaves are changing. Fishing is actually getting real good right now again. It's one of my favorite times of year because people empty out. They go into the woods, or they go and watch football, or they do other things. It's also a great time to buy fishing tackle. There's actually, in my opinion, no bad time to buy fishing tackle, but some times are better than others. One time is the fall, actually, because in the spring and then again at Black Friday, sometimes things are out of stock. But October, when people aren't thinking about ordering as much tackle, is a great time to find all the things that are on your tackle warehouse wish list in stock. I was in South Carolina a couple weeks ago, and I got a notification from Tackle Warehouse that there was a 20% off sale available only to members of their mailing list. So please, if you do one thing today, if you like to buy tackle and you like to save money, go to tacklewarehouse.com and sign up for their mailing list. You will get notifications of sales that aren't always obvious, like July 4th, Black Friday, Labor Day, things like that. They had a 20% off sale. So I was in South Carolina. I wanted to get home. Luckily, it was a few days before the sale would end. I wanted to get home and take stock of what exactly I needed. I always need some things before I made my order, but I had plenty of time, so I want to go through that order and show you some of the things I got. It might inspire you to make a future order. First thing, and this is one of my basics, this is a restock. All these bags of white Reaction Innovation skinny dippers, I go through them like crazy. I fish them by themselves. I put it on the back of a swim jig. I put it on the back of a chatterbait. Can never have enough. I use them down in Mexico. I use them all the time here on the Potomac. Just a staple that I have to have. Here's another bag of them. Also decided to invest in one more bag of that Sakamata shad. They're expensive, but everyone seems to think it's the standard bearer for forward-facing sonar applications. I've vowed this winter I'm going to spend a lot of time learning to use my live scope. Next, while I was down there in South Carolina, one of the guys had to re-spool in the boat, and he had this little deal from P-Line. It's a suction cup with a little spring attached to it. You put your spool on there, it adds tension, you can re-spool in the boat. It's a lot better than trying to hold the spool with your feet or having to steal the ice bucket from the hotel and put the spool in that. Just makes life a little bit easier. I'll keep that in the boat. Hopefully it will inspire me to re-spool more often. Got two Spike It pens, one in black, one in red. I keep chartreuse dipping dye, chartreuse spray, and a chartreuse pen in the boat, but this will help me make little modifications when I need a little red maybe on the throat of a bait or some black stripes to make something into Coach Dog. Simple, a few bucks, can give you a whole new wardrobe, so to speak. The Sneaky Pete glide bait from G-Ratt. I've resisted this one for a long time. My friend Steve Kennedy swears by it, and he has a lot of glide baits. It looks kind of primitive to me, both the styling of it and the paint job, so I've resisted. But in the grand scheme of glide bait world, it's not that expensive, so I figured it was worth taking a flyer on this. I'm going to throw it a lot this winter. Okay, well here's one, guys, I can't really show you. It's something Brandon Polinick told me about. I'm all about full transparency on this website and in my videos, but I also have to keep people's secrets, so there is one bait here that I'm not going to expose until he says that I can do so. Got some of this 6 cents lead wire to add to treble hooks, particularly with my glide baits. I want to be able to weight them a little more easily and a little more fluidly, and I just figured keeping this in the boat would be an easy way to do that beyond suspend strips and suspend dots and nail weights. While I was down in South Carolina, one of the guys showed me a really cool bite that he had developed at Champlain. I'll be writing more about that later. And it worked at Hartwell too. In fact, he caught some of the biggest spotted bass of our trip on it. It was using a 3/4 ounce jackhammer on bridge pilings, letting it go to the bottom and ripping it up, effectively stroking it like a jig. And I was pretty impressed by that, so I figured I would invest in one jackhammer. While I was at it, the old school chatterbait comes in a 5/8 ounce size. I know it's not the jackhammer, but I think this was like $4.99 as opposed to $15.99, so I invested in that. Another bait that people have been talking about a lot, and I finally listened, is this Chatterbait Mini Max with the smaller blade. I got one in white, one in black and blue. And if you've followed my website for any period of time, you know I'm a fanatic for small spinnerbaits, particularly either a 1/4 ounce War Eagle. Actually, in a War Eagle, it's the finesse bait is 3/16 or 5/16, or the Screamin' Eagle, which is a 1/2 ounce on a 1/4 ounce frame. Decided to try this one from Accent. It's a 1/4 ounce. It has a turtleback blade for a little extra thump. It's actually much smaller than I expected. I think that's a good thing. It's really the size to me of like a 1/8 ounce spinnerbait, and it weighs a 1/4. Pretty excited about this one. I have a lake that I go to where I catch a lot of spinnerbait fish in the fall, and I think I'm going to spend some time checking this one out, see how it compares to the War Eagle. Hopefully it's a replacement, because the War Eagles in the sizes and colors I like are becoming harder and harder to find. Also needed some split ring replacements. I really like these Owner Hyperwire split rings. Got some in a 3 and a 4. Also got these. These are from Decoy. I'd seen these on one of the swim bait pages I followed. It's hard to see right here, but you'll see they're kind of an oddball shape with a pointed end. It's a split ring that you put on the front of certain baits. Some people said that they gave up the ghost on big fish. Other people said it made a world of difference and they had no problems. Gonna give them a try this winter and see what I think. Owner Range Roller. It's a head for sort of the hover strolling technique. Figured I would try this too. I've been experimenting with everything from just plain old ball heads to all sorts of dedicated hover rigs and mid-strolling heads to see what's going on. Finally, I got some trebles. Kenta Kimura told me that one of the modifications he makes on his mag drafts is to add a quad hook with 2 barbs in and 2 barbs out. So I got some of these decoys. These are a number 2 to try with my mag drafts. Someone else told me about these Duo Realis treble hooks. They said that these are the best hooks they've ever used for jerk baits and topwaters. I don't know, they have kind of an odd little shape to them, but I figured I would try 1 pack. And of course, as you know, all of that very easily adds up to $150, which means you get the t-shirt. The same week that Tackle Warehouse came out with their sale, I also got a coupon code from Normark, which you may know is the parent brand of Rapala, of Sufix, of VMC. So I ordered a bunch of stuff from them too, mostly to sort of refill my stock of staples that I need to have in the boat or readily available to me, and just to make sure I had plenty of sort of the things that I tend to either misplace or overuse and forget about. So you can get all of these items directly from Normark themselves. They're also available at Tackle Warehouse. I'll drop links in the text below and you can make your own decision as to where you get them. But these are sort of the things that I wanted to restock on, because I felt like I'm going to need them and don't want to be without them in the boat. First thing is leader material, this Sufix Advanced Fluorocarbon. I've become much more comfortable with spinning tackle. In fact, when I was at Hartwell a few weeks ago, every fish I caught that week was on a spinning rod, and I've also become much more adept at tying the FG knot, so I'm not afraid to retie a leader in the boat. I have 7 and 8 pound tests typically in the boat. I wanted to get some 10 and 12, so I got these 3 spools of leader material to keep regularly there. One thing that I go through a lot of, or I misplace a lot of, are trailer hooks for my spinnerbaits and my buzz baits. Got some VMC trailer hooks, 1/0, 3/0. Those are the 2 sizes I use the most. One thing I don't like about these is that they come with the little rubber stopper on the hook eye. I'll take that off, put the hook on, and then put the rubber stopper on. I like the hook to be free swinging. I feel like I get a better hookup percentage that way. Didn't do a lot of flipping this year, but the RedLine hooks I've found from VMC, their newest hooks, I've been pretty impressed with. I've used the Neko rig, the Wacky rig hooks, so I figured I would try some of their flipping hooks and see how they stand up. I've typically used Gamakatsu and Owner straight shank hooks. Figured I would try some 3/0 and 4/0 RedLines. Kind of loath to admit it, but I have become a Ned rigger, and I go through a lot of Ned heads, both because they are one of the snaggiest lures around, and also because if you use a fairly light wire hook, they tend to get bent out. So I stocked up on some of the VMC Ned Rig Jigs. These have been great for me. 1/8 ounce, 1/16 ounce. Also decided to try their swinging net head, and I've always thought that the value of a Ned Rig is that it has no action at all. But I also thought maybe something that has a little more action here and there, maybe when you drag it across some rocky bottoms or some gravelly points, might have a little more attraction for the fish. Figured I'd give those a try. Didn't cost much, a few dollars, and you're in business. You never have too many flippin' weights. Don't lose a lot of them, but you know, eventually they get rough around the edges, or you do lose a few, or they end up in a pocket in the laundry somewhere. So I added 2 1-ounce VMC flippin' weights. And finally, between baits like mag drafts and Neko rigs and other things like that, I'm going through an increasing number of nail weights. And that's one of those things, they sometimes fly out of the bait, or you lose the bait on a Neko rig, or you just forget where you put them in the boat. I'm sure the cup holders in this boat have them everywhere. So I bought a bunch of these nail weights from VMC, 1/16, 1/8, 3/32. Also got, in addition to the standard nail weight, I got some of these Half Moon Wacky weights. They're a little more compact. A portion of it sticks out of the lure and a portion of it is inside of it. Figured it was something else worth trying, a new way to weight my baits, maybe give them a little bit of action. So that's what I purchased. It's a lot of stuff. It's probably $300 worth of tackle. It's all stuff that I will use though. A couple baits I took a flyer on, but I don't feel like I did anything crazy. It's a great time to restock. Again, if you're gonna do one thing today, go sign up for the Tackle Warehouse mailing list. And sign up for the Normark mailing list too. That way you'll be sure to always be aware of sales, and you'll be positioned at the right time to get everything you need and not be caught unaware. We stocked up on tackle. Tackle buying makes all of us happy. Go for it. Check out the links below. You'll see what I bought. Maybe buy some of your own. Drop a comment and tell me if you think any of these things were a waste of money or if you think they were great purchases, and I'll report back to you from the water.